And a happy Wednesday to you. For the 17th time in the last 21 games, the American League beat the National League in the MLB All-Star Game last night. Boston's Jarren Duran hit a 2-run home run to break a 3-3 tie to help the AL win 5-3 for his efforts. Duran was awarded the Ted Williams All-Star MVP. Mariners' Logan Gilbert and Andrés Muñoz did not play last night. Seattle will begin the second half of the season Friday with the first of 3 games against the Houston Astros at T-Mobile Park. The Mariners hold a 1-game lead over Houston in the American League West. Game time will be 7:10 on Friday, and you can watch it on Root Sports Northwest. As it turns out, 5 Wenatchee AppleSox players are in Bellingham for the West Coast League All-Star Game tonight. Pitcher Garrett Ahern was added to the mix, along with pitchers Evan Canfield and Quincy Vassar. Catcher Jonathan Fitz and outfielder Max Hartman will also play for the North squad tonight at Joe Martin Field. Game will be broadcast on the MLB Network at MLB TV, that's .TV, MLB.com, and MLB's app. Wenatchee resumes play Friday at home against the Yakima Valley Pippins at 6:35 at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. Well, anglers have a chance at big money for catching a big salmon this weekend with the Wenatchee Valley. It's the Wenatchee Salmon Derby. It kicks off Friday morning and runs through Saturday afternoon with over $7,500 up for grabs. Not too bad. As of last Friday, 42,947 Chinook salmon had crossed over Rock Island Dam, while a record run of sockeye salmon, number of about 500,000. I caught up with Derby representative Bobby Loomis to get details on how fishermen can participate.
Tomorrow evening, we have a mandatory captain's meeting. Everybody has to show up, get their packet to go out the next day and fish. Friday, fishing starts at dark 30. We have 2 weigh stations. We have a weigh station up at BB Bridge, and we will have one over in Hooked on Toys parking lot, so that people can weigh in, if they're fishing down here lower or up higher. I should mention that this derby runs between Rock Island Dam and Wells Dam. Okay. So we're fishing this middle section here. And basically on Saturday, fishing will end at 2 o'clock is the last call for weigh-in, and we have a 5 o'clock award ceremony at the Eagles, where everybody will show up, and by that time they might have an embellishment or 2, and we'll hand out awards.
You have until 6 o'clock tomorrow night to register for the Derby online. You can do so at WenatcheeSalmonDerby.com. Well, we're spending some time this week on getting to know the Wenatchee Wild's new head coach, Don Nachbaur. Now, Nachbaur began his NHL career with the Hartford Whalers in 1979 and moved on to the Edmonton Oilers in 1980. This gave Nachbaur the chance to play with some very famous hockey players.
Matter of fact, the year I was in Edmonton, the team lost to the New York Islanders 4 straight. The following year, I went to Edmonton's training camp. I was picked up on waivers by the LA Kings, and then Edmonton went on a 4-year run of winning Stanley Cup. So they got me out of there, and they just started to win. and now that you mentioned Gretz, just so you know, my first year in Hartford, 79-80 season, Gordie Howe was on the team. And my idol as a kid, Dave Keon, who's still a friend today, but rooming with Dave was quite memorable and quite pleasurable. And to be honest with you, he's still a friend today. So it made my hockey career.
Nachbaur says he watched the transition of Winnipeg moving to Wenatchee before last season's WHL year and was impressed with what he saw.
I knew about the Wenatchee sale last summer. I was well aware of what was going on there, and just the process of being an expansion team and trying to coming into the Western League, especially coming out of the BC Junior, because the leagues run a lot different. So it was all interesting, and Bliss did a great job of the transition from the BC Junior to a Western League team. He had a lot to learn. He's done a great job.
Wenatchee inherited some great talent from Winnipeg, but had hardly any draft picks. Nachbaur says he's well aware of the situation and looks forward to getting to know his players and see what kind of talent the Wild have.
The Winnipeg team was a high-end team, and you saw some of those players coming to Wenatchee before they were traded to acquire assets. but those players were on a good team last year that had a chance, or their management thought that they had a chance to win the league and go to the Memorial Cup. So they sold a lot of their assets, meaning their draft picks and young players, which really hurt our franchise now because we have to recoup those assets somehow. And when you don't have picks, you've got to go out and find free agents. And usually the cupboards get picked through pretty good. In my experience in the Western Hockey League, I've had a lot of walk-ons that turned out to be great players. There's a lot of gems out there that go through the draft, and they draft players, as you know, at 14, 15 years old. And it's very difficult to project what they're going to look like when they're 18, 19. So you're drafting smaller players, and a lot of the smaller players get overlooked. And they turned out to be some of my best players. The second group of guys you can look at are players in the U.S., because the Canadian guys are all drafted. Not the U.S. guys aren't, but they're not heavily scouted like the Bantam leagues in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. So we've got a big job ahead of us finding more talent for our younger age groups, and that's what we get paid to do. But our current team, I haven't seen players, and I don't want to prejudge them until I watch them live on the ice and see what their habits are and how they think the game. And through drills and through scrimmages, I'll get a pretty good feel. And once we see that, we'll determine what style of play, what our structure will look like. And I'd like to say we'd be run and gun, but if we don't have guys that can skate, pass a puck, or shoot a puck, that's not going to be conducive to a good system for our hockey team. So I'm going to have an open mind to what we have, and guys are going to get opportunities to play in different roles. And once we get through that initial phase of training camp exhibition games, we'll be hitting the ground running for the opening of the season.
Don Nachbaur will be moving from Richland to Wenatchee over the next month in time for the Wild's training camp in August. You can see my entire interview with Nachbaur on our website at NCWLIFE.com. Go to full episodes and watch Monday's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. That's Logan Sports News. I'm Eric Granstrom. Have a happy Wednesday.